Hi everybody, for tonight's Nightcap and review, I'm having a milkshake, and tonight I'll be discussing Against White Feminism, Notes on Disruption by Rafia Zakaria. I did listen to a pronunciation guide, so I hope I got that right. I know this is a little different from my normal literature books that I read, but I have made the commitment that I want to read more nonfiction, especially on deconstruction of racism and feminism, and be just so I can be a better ally and work on anything that I may not recognize or realize that I may be doing wrong. I have realized that I respond better to nonfiction books in an audiobook format. With books, my mind tends to wander, if I'm being honest, but this was my first audiobook and I was riveted and I'm so pleased by the experience, and this was a really interesting book to listen to. I gave it 5 stars. So what's it about? Now, because it's such an important subject matter, or at least I consider it to be so, I'm going to read the blurb directly so that I don't misspeak or misrepresent what this book is about. I want to make sure I'm clear and concise, though I'm sure I'm going to stumble over some words, so I do apologize. But elite white women have branded feminism promising and apolitical individual empowerment, along with sexual liberation and satisfaction, LGBTQ inclusion, and racial solidarity. As Rafia Zakaria expertly argues, these promises have been proven empty, and white feminists have leaned on their racial privilege and sense of cultural superiority. Drawing on her own experiences as an American Muslim woman, as well as an attorney working on behalf of immigrant women, Zakaria champions a reconstruction of feminism that forges true solidarity by bringing Black and brown voices and goals to the fore, ranging from the savior complex of British feminist imperialists to condescension of the white feminist-led development industrial complex and the conflation of sexual liberation as the sum total of empowerment. Zakaria presents an eye-opening indictment of how whiteness has contributed to a feminist movement that solely serves the interest of upper middle-class white women. So, listening to this, I would definitely like to think I am further along in my deconstruction process, and I definitely saw moments in this book where I was like, oh, I can't believe we used to do shit like this. Oh my God, why did we not see what was staring us right in the face? But there were definitely moments in this book where I was having to sit with myself, because at first I'd be like, I don't necessarily see the problem in that. But then as the focus would shift to those receiving, an example would be is like they talked about the colonialism with Western ideals being imposed on other countries, usually Asian and Middle Eastern countries. And one example, and I don't remember the country and I do apologize, revolved around stoves. So these women would use clay stoves that have been in their culture forever. Their recipes were structured around these stoves, and the stoves were structured around these recipes, and it was an important part of their cultural identity, because this is where the community came, where women got community, were able to be a part of their community, and recipes are the best way to foster that community. And white imperialists would come in like, you know what these women need? They need a better stove than these clay stoves. They need to reclaim their time and get out of the kitchen so they have more time to go be basically capitalist or get a job or something like that and get financial empowerment. So we're going to give them wood burning stoves, and that these wood burning stoves would basically work more efficiently. And they did. But there was a loss to the culture, because the recipes that were structured in around this clay stove, and the stove that was structured around that, couldn't be translated over to this wood burning stove, and that meant that these recipes were lost. They lost a part of their culture because people were imposing onto these women what they thought they needed, rather than asking these women and sitting down with them. It's like, we want to help. How can we help? What do you need? And then working towards getting the women what they need, rather than making the determination for them. And as a result, they lost a part of their culture and community. And that was just a really eye-opening experience for me, because at first I was like, well, yeah, it's a better stove. I love a good, better, more efficient stove. Why wouldn't these women? But again, I'm looking from it from a different standpoint. And I really need to sit and take into account the women who, not me, but my ancestors, let's go with that, have imposed on other people with our ideals, rather than taking their culture, their beliefs, and how their society is structured around things and listening to them and what their needs are. I've probably repeated myself. It's just, again, it was one of those moments where I had to sit with something and look at it, I guess, from the other point of view, and just sit down and listen. That's the main thing in a lot of these things, is that white women need to sit down and listen and not take over moments and center ourselves. So overall, this is a really eye-opening experience. I really enjoyed it. It was 5 stars again for me. If you're looking to start your work on deconstructing all the bad stuff that, like, white feminism and bad feminism in general, and any racial or patriarchy issues that you haven't really worked on, this is a great book to start with. I definitely recommend the audiobook. It was definitely enlightening, and I've already started my next audiobook. So I'm excited. I hope everyone has a good night and happy readings.